for energy security. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, madam, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. You're looking very well this morning. I like the ensemble, the cap especially. If it gets missing, no comments. It may or may not be in my possession.
I'm flattered.
But how are you doing this morning?
Good and well. We can't complain. We need to manage what we have.
That's right.
That makes us good managers or leaders. Scarcity of resource can also, brew inventions.
And I wish to get close to the mic for me a little bit.
And some
Thank
creativity.
you.
So we're managing.
Are you also bearing the brunt of doom song? Because that's how I'm categorizing it. We were told, if your lights go off doom and they come back so, you're experiencing doom so. Are you at the mercy of doom so?
To the extent that I'm a customer of the electricity company of Ghana, I'm having similar experience.
Okay.
Quite harsh.
Quite harsh?
Yes. It is something that I've not experienced for a while. At the height of 2015, 2016 doom so, because I live somewhere close to the power plants, as a boom.
Okay.
You barely see outage. In fact, at the height of it, you may experience one light out probably for about 3 hours or 4, then comes back.
That's very lucky.
But this time, it's
not the
almost
same.
on daily basis. Yeah. So I'm feeling what you felt some time ago, 2015, 2016, I'm sure. This time I'm feeling it.
Well, I wasn't there at the time, so I'm now experiencing my fresh doom so.
Then we are all being baptized.
We're all being baptized. Now, the calls for a timetable from the ECG have been met with a lot of critique and a lot of pushback, a lot of kickback, especially from officialdom, from government. And it's led us to believe that there is some politics definitely being played here. Although, from government actors, we're told, let's not play politics with the energy sector, especially. This is something that we have to tackle for the benefit of all Ghanaians. We're all feeling the brunt of, the erratic power supply. But some have said that the issue of a timetable, the kickback or the pushback by government is purely political. From where you sit, is it an issue of what ECG has been saying? They talked about transformer issues, maintenance issues, and the like, localized problems. But Gridco says it's an issue of inadequate gas supply. We're being told different things.
Okay, so I want to hold brief for government.
Okay.
Then play the devil's advocate as well.
Sure.
You remember the president's the State of the
Nation address
was clear in his mind, in his thoughts, and his communication that under his tenure, over the last 7 years, they've not experienced any outages, extended outages, and no doom so will be experienced under his government.
That's right.
Same night, that's when this program started.
That's right.
So we sitting back knew very well that from 2018 up until today, there is that erratic power supply once in a while, to the extent that we've been supported largely by the hydro segment of the power sector. We know this.
That's right.
So when the president was speaking, we were like, is he really informed? Is he really being led, or is being misled?
Right.
Because that's not the case, as we know it. Then he did also say that they manage the debt-owed IPPs. They've been able to do some form of reconciliation, and that everything is okay. And we ask, what did you reconcile? Is it the power sale invoices that you reconciled? Did you reconcile with them the forex exchange losses? The idle capacity charges, did you reconcile same with them? Did you reconcile the fuel supply invoices also? Because it is government that is committed to supply the fuel to the power plant to work.
That's right.
And so whichever source they take from, government pays.
That's right.
If you don't pay the bills on time and there are delayed payments, the suppliers of this fuel, mostly natural gas, react even the transmitters of the natural gas, including WAPCO, react once in a while.
Right.
And so we were like, does the president know what he's talking about? In his mind, everything is okay. I'm believing so. I just don't want to take that political dimension that he knew what was there and was trying to push issues under the carpet.
Anyways, not to slight tackle you there, especially on this point about the IPP. So at the time the president spoke, he said that they had reconciled those specific debts. Because what we know is that as of last August 2023, the IPPs were told to the tune of something like $1.5 or $6 billion. Was he referring to that particular debt?
It was referring to the 1.5 billion.
I see.
These
Okay.
are the power sale invoices.
Aha.
Beyond that, you need to look at the forex exchange losses they've incurred. You have to pay for that.
That's right.
Idle capacity, you have to pay for that. Fuel supply invoices, you have to pay. You get it? And so we were quite taken aback. But power sector issues are like, can be likened to a woman taking a seed. It definitely will have to be elevated or see some protrusion. You can't push it under the carpet. That is the issue. We knew very well that from January up to today, the entire installed power system of more than 5,400 with a dependable capacity of roughly 5,000 or 4,900 has not been able to produce any power in excess of 3,300 megawatts.
3,000?
300 megawatts.
Okay.
From January till today. And we understand the issues that our peak demand as a country between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. is roughly 3,650 megawatts. So there's a deficit.
That's right.
There. That deficit, so the 3,650 megawatt is the load that we are putting on the system, the distribution system.
Right.
Meanwhile, GRIDCO can only give to ECG roughly 2,800 megawatts, or let's say give all the 3,100 thereabouts megawatts to ECG to manage. That 3,200 or 3,100 megawatts cannot be, cannot be given to all of us.
So there'll be that shortfall.
That shortfall must be shared.
That's right.
So some places have to go off. Some load has to be taken away. They can't come to your home and say, take your fridge off, take this off. But they can take your area off to shed that load.
Right.
If the ECG forces to push that for everybody, you will either be seeing brownouts that you may call low voltage.
Yes.
Or a blackout, which can affect the entire system. It will go back from the distribution network, hit the transmission, and transmission will go and hit the power plants, force shutdown of the entire nation.
Right.
And so they have to share load. So ECG's only answer that or respond that owes to consumers is that, look, this is how much power I get from GRIDCO, the transmitter. I'm unable to meet all your needs, so I have to share some load.
Right.
So this is a table. For this period, let's say next week, assuming that ECG is giving me 3,200 megawatt, I'm shedding 450 off. So Accra North, you expect to go off this time.
So what we've been calling for, a timetable.
A timetable. That is the common sense approach.
That's right.
Madam. They failed to do that.
Because the PRC actually directed the ECG sometime a week or maybe 2 weeks ago to actually come out with this load shedding timetable, as you're saying, so that we can plan our lives. But there are some people in certain quarters that seem to think that a timetable is a privilege.
We'll get to that, but let me go back and finish what I was talking about. So we knew there's a generation shortfall. Why? It is so because we are having financial challenge within the sector. And so they are unable to buy fuel for some of the power plants.
Right.
Other power plants have been forced to shut down, not just compelled, forced to shut down because of lack of maintenance. They needed money to do their plant maintenance. If you don't plan your car maintenance one day your car was forced to stop
That's right.
because your filters are blocked. You get it?
That's right.
So many of them have been forced to shut down. We know this. All for cash flow reasons. So it is fuel supply and plants being forced down because of lack of maintenance. These are the two issues. We have discussed this over a month now, and no one was talking from within government or from the same power sector. Grieco is tight-lipped until we intercepted their letter. It's not
Yes.
that they have communicated to the public.
That's right. A memo was intercepted, which now
Exactly.
has caused this for Gridco to come out, blaming recent outages on inadequate gas supply.
And force plants shut down as well. We're adding the second one. And I'm sure they themselves noted some power plants that are under maintenance, more than 6 of them. Aside Mary and T1, that has been down for a while. So these are the issues. Okay, so the PRC proceed to tell ECG, I am not only protecting you, the utilities, my mandate is also to protect consumers.
That's right.
Give them a timetable, because we've observed this for almost 2 months, getting to 3 months.
That's right.
It's a usual pattern that you have power generation deficits or supply deficit. Give them a timetable. Then you get a whole minister come to tell us in the face that anyone that wants a timetable should go and produce one by
For
himself.
themselves.
First, you are telling the regulator, the PRC, to go and produce one himself. You're calling their bluff.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. And so we found, and this give us the courage to state boldly that it is the minister that's preventing ECG from putting out a timetable. Something that is our right to have.
He described it as wishing evil for the state if you call for a timetable. If you watch that clip that has now gone viral, he says, why would you clamor for a timetable? Listen to what the ECG is saying about transformer faults, localized issues. He says it's wishing evil. But from where I stand, and I know you have that same sentiment as a consumer, as a customer, you simply want to plan your affairs.
Demanding for your rights is wishing evil for the country. That's what the minister wants to say. That's good. But we think that it's rather insulting. I am a prepaid consumer of the ECG. I can show you my phone. I bought power in excess of 250. Just last 4 days. So at least I can say that government owes me almost 200 Ghana. Or ECG owes me 200 Ghana. Why am I not getting the power that you sold to me in advance? You need to give me answers.
That's right.
I deserve that. It's my right. It's not a privilege for you to even supply me power. In the first place, you agreed to put a meter in my house, your meter in my house, connect your lines, and expect me to buy power, or you give me power and at the end of the month pay you. That's receiving the contract in its form. And so it's my right to have what you promised me. But then this is where we are today. You know, for politicians, some of them, a load shedding timetable, can be equated to doomsday, something that they don't want to put on record. But whether we are in doomsday or no doomsday, it is not for government to tell the consumers.
That's right.
It is the personal experience that you go through. If I'm having headache, doctor doesn't need to tell me. I know what
You're feeling it.
I'm feeling headache. And I'm feeling that my light doom for an extended period before it's so. And so when I call it doom, so you think that I'm the devil's, I don't know. And we made it clear. If we don't solve this power issue, the financial constraints in the sector, next year will be worse.
You say that if we don't avert our minds to what is going on, we could be in darkness next year.
This is 1.5 billion debts.
That's
on
right.
power steel invoices. Don't add the others.
Okay.
Meanwhile, every month the debt increases because ECG is unable to have a full cost recovery.
That's right.
So every month the debt increases, madam. So if $1.5 billion is giving us this experience, what will $2 billion debt give to you.
And so on and so forth as it increases. Will the president's recent directive make any dent on this? He's asking for us to halt export, power export to the countries that we typically export to. What are some of the red flags that we should be watching out for with this particular directive? Is it going to support the domestic market enough?
Okay, so first, this directive will not be a game changer. We will still be experiencing doom so. From the beginning of the year up to today, we've been tracking power still hovers between 200 megawatts and 300 megawatts, thereabouts.
That's not very significant, is it?
It's not significant. You are even talking about if an installed capacity of 5,400 and your power still to the export market is roughly 250 megawatts. That's about 5%.
That's right.
Of your installed capacity. It's insignificant. Currently, the deficit we have, as I mentioned, about 650. So if you take 250 off from the export market to give it to domestic consumers, there is still a deficit of 400 megawatts.
That's right.
That needs to be shed. So we'll still be seeing load shedding.
That's right.
No two ways about that. Okay, so the directive have both positive and negative ramification.
Okay.
The VRA representing government has a contract with these countries, Burkina Faso, Togo, Benin,
That's right.
Cote d'Ivoire,
Yeah.
to give them power.
Correct.
That is why they took money to invest in the transmission grid all the way to Burkina Faso from the French. It is the power sales to this export market that will repay the cost incurred in putting up the infrastructure, the transmission, and even part of their generation. So if you decide not to give them power, there is some money you need to pay that you won't have money for in future to pay. That is one. Number two, if this becomes extended for a period of time, because they need power, I'm sure they may be compelled to resort to other sources
Right.
of energy. So they will look for options. By the time you are comfortable and you've brought back all your plants, you might have lost the export market to another source.
So it's a risky business. If not rectified early, we could lose that business.
Exactly the case. But then, if you want to look within or probably meet your domestic consumers' need first, which is also good. I can't foresee me having battles on grounds here in Ghana as president, and I'll be sending troops outside to go and defend Cote d'Ivoire. It doesn't make sense.
Of course.
But if we take the power and we don't deploy it to productive sources, then we have lost all this game. This 250 must be directed to industries because many industries, factories, plants have been forced to shut down.
Because of the erratic power supply.
Exactly. Let me give you a typical example. And it costs them to come back. For a refinery, a 1 minute second trip of the of power trips all the plants and force shutdown. For you to bring it online, for a 45,000 capacity refinery, you won't spend less than $1 million to bring it back online.
Not less than $1 million.
So if I bring it online and tomorrow the light strips again, my plant goes down.
Another $1 million.
Exactly. So for the past 2 weeks, the Centurion refinery that we celebrated have been down. It's getting forced shut down and it's burning money. So they've shut down. They can't bring it online and the next minute it goes off. This is a typical example of what's happening in the sector. If it's extended, then of course some people may even lose their job because I can't be paying staff when I'm not working.
That's right.
It's factory. These are some of the challenges at hand. So if you take this power and you cannot direct it to this, it's not that you are only losing productivity and your GDP dropping, but you can also lose jobs in an already struggling economy. So government must be careful.
Absolutely.
We don't think that the halting of exports is a sustainable solution here. Quickly, they must bring back those excess capacity we've been talking about for more than 7 years. Something that does not exist. We don't call this excess capacity. It's reserve margin.
Right.
Every power system must have a reserve margin. PLCs for Ghana power sector must have a reserve margin of 18% on peak demand.
Aha.
So if our peak demands are 3,600, 18% of that, some machines might be there. In case Akosombo plant goes down, we've lost almost 1,000 megawatts. Just Akosombo. 400 megawatts is gone. Asogli, 550 megawatts. So let's for whatever reason, have Asogli go down for either maintenance. 550 of our installed capacity is gone.
It's gone.
Akosombo chooses to, whatever means, touch wood, whatever happens to Akosombo, 1,000 megawatts is gone. This corresponds to almost 18% of the reserve margin we're talking about. And we've been calling it excess capacity, excess capacity. Where is excess capacity, madam? Why are we struggling today?
Because demand is only going to keep on increasing.
Our demand as a country, electricity demand grows between 7% and 9% over the last 3 years. But before then, it was growing for 9.5% annually.
Wow.
So demand will grow.
That's right.
The export market demand is equally growing. In as much as population grows, electricity demand will equally grow.
Will grow as well.
Technological advancements will even grow it more. When there's economic boom, it will grow more. So there are many factors that are driving our annual electricity consumption.
And from where we sit, we are simply not ready to meet that demand, giving everything that you've told us this morning. But time check, it is some 13 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 a.m. We're just wrapping up with Nana Mwesi VII. He's the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. We've talked about a host of things happening in our power sector, whether or not a timetable is a right or a privilege, what this directive to halt the exportation of power means for us practically, and what some of the issues that ECG is going through can be rectified. And I'm waiting, from everything we've discussed so far this morning, it would appear that we find ourselves in a very precarious situation. What should happen next before we bid you farewell?
We must work quickly to bring those plants that are down online. Some are down because they don't have fuel. Unfortunately, we've been so much fixated on the usage of natural gas, when we know very well that most of the power plants, or almost 90% of the thermal power plants, can use any other form of fuel aside natural gas. They could use light crude oil, heavy fuel oil, diesel, and the rest. And we fail to keep stock of some of these liquid fuels, so that in case there is any disruption in the flow of natural gas, we fall on these other fuel. We fail to do that. We quickly need to bring some liquid fuel, quickly, so we can feed, because Nigeria gas is not flowing well.
That's right.
We owe them. If we still want to rely on natural gas, quickly let's go and sit down with the Nigerians and work at that so that we can get out. We must be willing to pay.
That's right.
And get this fuel. For the power plants that are down, we must also be interested to get them up online for whatever reason. If we need to support them with cash flow because we owe them, let's do that so that we can get them back online. Today, 2,000 megawatts of installed capacity is down. So I've just been around 3,000 megawatts. This is very important. For consumers, maybe it's time that you start looking for other alternative forms of energy beyond the grid. It's proving that it's not reliable.
That's right.
Over the years, it didn't start the last 7 years.
That's
Over
right.
the years, so they must begin to look for backup. There is renewable energy like solar.
That's right.
Just that the PRC or the Energy Commission must be willing to open up and support these people to also have alternative forms of energy. Very important. And also, if we don't get any answers from PRC and we don't get any timetable from the ECG, we must be willing as citizens to take an action to get what we need.
Should we hit the streets?
an action, any action possible.
Should we make our
Courts,
own timetable?
Can you produce one? Do you know how much power is being shared?
Well,
out?
now if you go on social media, for example, on X, that's the new strategy. Somebody will write 9:08 doom. When it comes back on, they will update it 12:27 so.
That's the
So
humor.
maybe we can. That's the humor in it. Maybe we can go on that tangent and get some the
We
attention.
can't be crying all the time.
We
Sometimes
can't
we
be
need to create
crying
the
all the
humor
time.
so
They
we
said
can
if you
laugh.
don't cry, you'll laugh.
Exactly.
Oh wait, if you don't laugh, in fact, you'll cry. My goodness. Oh, no,
So
Mercy. Thank
that's
you
it.
for that. Good tips and good pointers, but it does definitely leave us with some trepidation about the future and whether or not it's going to be a well-illuminated future at that.
It is possible that we can have a brighter future. It's equally possible that if we sit and we don't act, it could be gloomy. But I pity the next government that will be formed. Because when one government is sitting on an issue, there are many things that could be, shelved.
That's right.
It is only when it's taken as a butt of the chair that you see some that is deeper than we know. I don't say we are in a deep hole. We are at the edge of a cliff.
Very dangerous indeed. Good morning. Nana Moesi the seventh is the executive director of the Institute for Energy Security, and he lent us his time this morning to talk about the energy sector crisis and the matters arising. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
CEO.